Hello and welcome to The Rest is Football with Alan Shearer, Micah Richards and myself, Gary Lineker. Over Tuesday and Wednesday, some belting football. Let's start with Liverpool-Chelsea. Obviously, Klopp's first league game since he announced that he was going to leave at the end of the season, and he's certainly got them going at the moment, hasn't he?
They were brilliant, far too good in every position for what I thought was a woeful Chelsea performance. I mean, I know it keeps being said, but the money they have spent on some players and how bad they are at times, they've got so many nearlies and hopefuls that I mean, they were awful last night, and Liverpool absolutely battered them. Far too good for them. Liverpool really impressive.
I don't live that far from Chelsea. I've got a lot of Chelsea fans that are friends as well, and they're distraught at the moment. They feel like there's no hope. I suppose as well they were spoilt, weren't they, in that Abramovich era in many ways. But at the minute, given the fact that they spent so much money, they're miles off it, aren't they, Micah?
Yeah, they are. But did we expect Chelsea to go to Anfield and get a result? Probably not. I think it's disappointing, like you said, with the money that they've spent. But I do believe once they get everyone back and, when Poch can really put his stamp on things and they get a striker, they can perform better than what we see.
Hang on a minute. Fucking hell. When they get everyone back, when they get a striker, who else have they got to come back?
And Cuckoo was come back from injury and it's been difficult. Obviously, Chilwell's not up to speed, is he? You got one of the best right backs in the league in Reece James injured as well. You've got Colwell who's out, Cucurella who's out, Lavia who's out, Fofana who was unbelievable at Leicester. And yes, they've not been good enough, but I'd like to see him with a fully fit squad who the manager wants, who can sort of work off that basis. If we talk about this game, we've got to talk about the decisions and the refereeing. Yeah. Some of those decisions last night were appalling. I sort of understood what Alan was saying last night on Match of the Day with the Van Dijk one. That could be 50-50. I thought it was a penalty.
I thought it was a penalty, but probably not a clear and obvious error, that's what they'll argue.
Of course. But the other ones, it was just...
I cannot understand how VAR... And the one that Liverpool got was far less than that one that should have been. And we kept saying, didn't we, that it has to be pretty
well,
special.
You were saying it, Alan. I just... If you can have the wrath of the Liverpool fans on you.
Okay, yeah, I was, yeah. Two of the three decisions that I think Mike is on about last night, I perhaps would say, okay, I get it. Not necessarily agree with it, but I get it. But the second Van Dijk tackle on, I think it was on Nkunku.
As soon as they showed the first replay, Alan, didn't we? We just went, oh, it's a penalty. Definitely a penalty. It's 3-2. They're back in the game. They might even get something out of it.
He's nowhere near the ball, Van Dijk, and clearly he's kicked him. You can tell by his reaction straight away that he's kicked him. And the evidence and the replay suggested he kicked him. So, I mean, they didn't deserve anything out of the game, but at that particular time, I think that had the potential to go to 3-2. Did it?
It would have been 3-2, yeah.
But I mean, Chelsea didn't really deserve anything out of the game, but that would have made it an interesting last 10 minutes or so.
Enough of referees. Let's talk about Conor Bradley. My goodness me, what an exciting young talent.
Wow.
He's 20 years old, Northern Ireland international already. Cracking goal, 2 brilliant assists, the cross for Szoboszlai. He looks like one for the future.
We were there, guys, weren't we, when he made his debut, when he came on for the last, 15 or 20 minutes at Arsenal. And you thought then, I mean, the way the game was going and sort of the belief that Klopp had to put him on. But not only that, I mean, he was brilliant in that game, but last night, oh my God, he looked absolutely sensational, didn't he? I mean, defensively, attacking-wise, he took his goal incredibly well, despite nearly slipping over. The cross, as you said, wow, what a man of the match performance that was.
Yeah, he looks quick. He looks aggressive defensively. He looks like he's got 2 really really good feet, passing the ball forward. He had a bit of everything in his game, Micah. It reminded me a lot of when a young Micah Richards burst onto the scene.
Do me a favour, will you?
No, you know what I enjoyed the most about his game? Well, they say the modern day fullback is the technique on his goal, because we've seen so many players who come on early doors and, they're giving 100% and, they're flying into tackles, the crowd are behind them, they might put in a good cross. But it was the technique of the goal which I was most impressed by, that he's got that technique and to steady himself and sort of like, it wasn't like a whipping one, but it was like it was composed in the moment and got the technique perfectly correct. And then some of the runs that you guys were showing last night on Match of the Day in terms of his passing and his right foot and his left foot, to be that composed as a youngster, that is incredible to see. And they've got another one. They've got another
Trent.
They've got another Trent.
Well, I was thinking that gives him the excuse to move him in. I'd love to see that happen, particularly if it was for the rest of the season. So, just to see, because I've always wondered. I know he's kind of played that kind of semi-midfield role recently, and he has played in there a few times. But I'd like to see that, and it could be a real plus for Liverpool and England, because with Bradley playing there and Trent's passing ability is second to none.
Well, we've spoke so much, and I work with Jamie Carragher, and he watches all the Liverpool games, and he said for years now, Liverpool need to buy a right back to sort of take the workload off Trent. But now they've got Connor Bradley, who's come through. It's just amazing. He's worth 20, 30 million already just by his performances. So,
do you ever worry with a young player like that come through, that we as former players, we big them up a little bit, and then the expectations, or it's quite clear to us, isn't it, sometimes that someone's ability is so glaringly obvious. But we have to say as well, with football, as we always know, things can change. But I think given a fair run, he looks like the kind of lad that's got a fantastic attitude. I think we're going to see great things from him. One player who fascinates me at Liverpool is Darwin Núñez as a former striker. I mean, yes, he's missing a lot of chances this season, but he gets in positions to miss those chances as much as anyone in the league, and I've just got a sense that it will come right for him. He hit the woodwork 4 times yesterday.
Well, he's hit the woodwork 12 times this season.
Is it 12? I thought it was 14. Is it 12? Wow.
A friend of mine said, God, is Núñez the unluckiest striker in history? And I went, well, he could aim a little bit left or a little bit right or a little bit lower.
There's nothing unlucky about hitting the woodwork, if that's what we're going to call it.
Come on, guys. Stop it. He's unlucky.
That's what the fucking nets are there for, Micah. You hit the nets, not the woodwork.
Okay, before we move on, is hitting the post or the bar the target or no?
No, I've always
no.
People say that.
Would lose your back.
Well, how can it be? If you hit the target and the goalkeeper doesn't save it, it goes in. If you hit the inside of the post and it goes in, yes. But if you hit the post and it comes out, how can it be hitting the target? That's like saying, if you throw in darts in a bullseye, and we'll come to darts shortly, of course. If you throw the dart and it hits the wire of the bullseye and bounces down onto the floor, is that a bullseye?
Yeah, but okay. But so when you hit a shot and it goes off the bar and goes in,
if you rattle a long red with your cue in snooker and it rattles in the jaws and doesn't go in, it's not a pot.
Yes, of course. Yeah, obviously, you don't get the desired you don't get the goal, but it's still the target, isn't it? So you can hit the bar and the post.
Micah.
Who the fuck's aiming for the post or the bar?
So why do we do crossbar challenge? Crossbar challenge.
Well, that's different because the target is the crossbar.
I'm just asking for the younger listeners.
No, you're not. You're asking for yourself because you're confused. You're confused of Harrogate.
Do you know what else is really annoying when I hear someone say they did everything right apart from put it in the back of the net?
Yeah, that.
Well, hold on, I've heard you say that in commentary before.
No.
Never say that. You did everything right. Never. How can you do everything right
Apart from the bit that really counts. But
Exactly.
I think there is something in Nunez. Despite that, I loved, and Alan and myself discussed it, and Ian briefly last night, the fact that as strikers, and we've all been there, there are times and spells in your game where everything you do miss, but the key is to not shy away from getting in there again. And he did that even with the penalty kick. Even though he missed it, he was prepared to stand up because he knows it's a chance to score, and therefore it will turn. It will turn. I mean, he may or may not be the greatest natural finisher that we've ever seen, but his movement is exceptional. He's incredibly quick. He gets in there and he gets a lot of chances. And goal scorers will tell you, if you get a lot of chances, eventually, if you're any good, you will score a lot of goals. Yeah. Agreed, Alan? Yeah.
Agreed. Perseverance is the key, and I like that about him. He never shies away. I mean, last night's a great example. 4 times hitting the woodwork, post, plastic, whatever you want to call it. He hit it. So he wants to get in there.
Ubiquitous. That's the word.
Micah.
What did you just say, Micah? And where did you get that word from? Who told you that this morning or last evening?
Oh, Alan doesn't know what. Hey, it's a secret between me and you guys.
Say it again, Micah.
Ubiquitous.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I'm impressed.
Alan, we're going to be everywhere today, so let's move on to Spurs. Both of you missed that.
I seen that. I got it. He didn't get it because he didn't know what it means.
It was a terrific game, and I love watching Spurs at the moment. Now, I mean, they're gung ho. I think a couple of us were cheering Spurs in the room last night, and it's kind of excruciating, but incredibly entertaining, isn't it? Watching them at present. I hope you've seen the little tete-a-tete between Neil Maupay and James Maddison.
Oh, I've seen that on social straight away.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I like that sort of thing. We had the king, obviously, of Shithousery in the studio last night in Mr. Ian Wright, and he was absolutely loving it.
He was, yeah. What about when I said to him, you were full of that? He said, yeah, but not until late on in the game. Bullshit. You should have heard him in the tunnel. It was before the game, during the game, and after the game was righty. But he was annoyingly good, so you couldn't really go back at him. But, I mean, it was really funny last night. Even Maddison gave him one of them, didn't you? When you help pull someone up, where you pull them in, he sort of grabbed his neck as well, didn't he? But Maupay did go. Maupay went very, very early. Too early, didn't he?
I think Maddison was interviewed on TNT, wasn't he, with Rashmin Chowdhury after the game. And he was saying something along the lines of, well, he's not scored enough goals in the last few years to have his own celebration, so he's copied mine. Maupay came back with something like, well, he's had, I've scored more goals than him, and he's had more relegations, and it was there was a bit of banter, but
why did Maupay start it? What was the reason why he did the celebration? Do we know why?
Well, that's what you have to ask him. I mean, and to do it, and when you scored that early in the game, you're opening yourself up there, aren't you?
Ridiculous. For someone who went to Everton and didn't score that many goals, okay, he scored last couple of games, but I like the confidence. I like it, yeah.
Richarlison scoring 7 goals in his last 7 Premier League games. It just shows you talking about Nunez, similar sort of thing. Couldn't score to save his life, could he, for a while? But once you get 1 or 2, once the confidence comes in, it's like the goal he scored there. 2 months ago, whatever it was, that would have probably hit the defender on the line and come out. But this time it hit it and it goes in.
You know what it is? Taking responsibility. Yeah. Kane's gone, Son steps up. Yeah. Son goes, Richarlison steps up. And that's what they're doing now. That is what they're doing. Brilliant.
Yeah, it really was. Timo Werner's doing a bit. I mean, he's not scoring particularly at the moment, but he's pace is useful on that left-hand side for them. Gives them alternatives, particularly while Son's not allowed.
Yeah, they lacked width in the first half, but he certainly provided that. Him and Johnson was much better in the second half when Johnson came on, and they combined really well together for Johnson's goal. I think it was a second goal, and they were much better. So yeah, he's. His pace hasn't changed, has it? It's just. We'll reserve judgment to see whether he's learnt the offside rule or he can put some more great balls in as he did last night.
But I don't think he needs that responsibility to score all the goals, Al. Yeah, I know that sounds ridiculous, but, in terms of the way they want to play and press, and then if he can just use his pace to break that line and then just pass it across, where I feel as though at Chelsea there was a lot more responsibility on him to score,
I would agree with that. I thought the best song football fans do come up with great songs, and I thought it was a bit cheeky, but it was very funny. Did you hear about this, Micah, what the Tottenham fans were singing?
No, go on.
Well, obviously they went ahead, Brentford, and then Spurs went back into the lead. And when they did, the Tottenham fans saying, "Ivan Toney, you should have cashed out." Bless him, but I think it was quite witty.
I thought he played really well, actually, Ivan Toney. He was a real handful last night.
He's got a really good all-round game, and he holds it up. And he's got a real calmness to his play, and even his finish. I know he missed one just before, but it was really good. Spurs into fourth place. Manchester City in good form. Like Liverpool, they're getting all their players back. You see De Bruyne starting. Haaland comes on in the latter stages. John Stones. We expected them to beat Burnley at home. I think it's over the last 13 games, it's 46-2 to Manchester City against Burnley. And obviously, you go back to Sean Dijk, he couldn't do it against them either. But
you know who was really good for Man City yesterday? Mattheus Nunes.
Yeah, we highlighted him actually in the
He was
show.
Really, really good. Sorry, that's probably when I fell asleep on Match of the Day.
Yeah, that was probably when Alan was doing his bit, was it? Oh, actually, Righty did that, didn't he?
Righty did that game, so it was Righty. See, I told you.
He was brilliant, wasn't he? When he comes in, you think, well, where's he going to play? Where's he going to fit in? What are his strengths? We all know he can pass. He's a ball-playing midfielder, whether he sits deep or whether he makes late runs. He's good at dribbling. And I just thought, yes, I can see him in this system.
More of a natural replacement, perhaps, for Gundogan?
Yes, I would say so. I think that was a perfect analogy. But there's so much quality within Man City now. It's going to be difficult. But I just, you're always looking for something different to say about Man City. Yes, the big boys are back now, but I just thought it was a really good, professional, tactical and technical performance from Nunes yesterday.
Ubiquitous.
You just Googled it, hadn't you?
Well, you're fucking right, I did. Are you going to tell us where you got it from? Who told you? Who mentioned that to you this morning?
my masseur comes round all the time.
Tell me his massage wasn't ubiquitous. Please tell me it wasn't, Micah.
I
knew you've got it from somewhere. Carry on, go on.
And he just goes to me like, what you doing this week? And I said, I must be working. I'm doing my podcast or whatever. And he said, you're ubiquitous, aren't you? And I said, what the fucking hell does that mean?
I love it. I knew there had to be something.
We'll talk about the tune, return to form. Well, let's say a bit of form in an away game, because they've been pretty good at home this season. But that was an important win for them. I presume you were there in the crowd at Villa Park, Alan?
No, I give that one a miss, Gary, but I did definitely watch it, and they were brilliant. If it was a really tough place to go to, as we know, Villa not beaten at home for a year.
Yeah, talking about tough places to go and stuff, and the away end. You were telling me a story about a classic football fan, an old guy that you sat behind at Craven Cottage. And go on, tell us.
It was. I mean, it was amazing. You know, it really got me thinking. The feeling that supporters have and the lengths that they go to. There's an older guy I was speaking to who was right in front of me, and he was 77, I think he said he was, and he said he's never missed a home or away game for the last 40 years. And I was like, wow, Jesus Christ, years. Really? And he was like saying, thanks very much for the 10 years that you gave us. And I'm thinking, no, mate, I should be thanking you. I mean, it's just incredible at the lengths that they go to, some supporters, and the feeling that they have for their football club. And he was really knowledgeable and what have you. So, yeah, I just think I think it's bloody amazing.
He would have enjoyed this game against Villa.
He would have loved. The performance at Villa Park. I just thought from the off they were better than Aston Villa. They looked as if they had more energy. Newcastle, they were at it again. Their press. Scored some really good goals. Fabian Schär, £3 million back in
what a buy
2018 was brilliant. What a bargain he's proved to be. £3 million after what he's given Newcastle since summer of 2018. So good performance, and shame about Isak getting injured because he's going to be out for I don't know 2 or 3 weeks they say. So they're struggling with a centre forward with Wilson being out as well. But hopefully they're back, Newcastle. Yeah,
Schär would have been the first defender ever to score a hat-trick. He had half a chance, didn't he?
He did, yeah. No, he did. He did 2 from the set pieces. The second one was really impressive, the way he was first to react from Gordon when it hit the bar. But it was a really good performance from him and from everyone in the black and white shirt. Good to see.
Not even Micah, when he burst onto the scene, managed to pop in a hat-trick.
No, well, I did at reserve level. We've talked about that on a previous pod.
Is it on YouTube anywhere?
No, just the match report. We've got the match report.
You picked out Anthony Gordon, Alan. He's done really well, hasn't he, at Newcastle? Been a good signing as well.
His energy, his ability, his pace, assists. He's been really impressive. And when one or two others haven't in that England team or England squad, I should say, I would really hope that Gareth's taken notice of him because he's had a fantastic season.
Let's move on to the Forest Arsenal game. I thought Arsenal were pretty much in control of that. I know they were all getting a bit panicky, even though it was only half time, but they were so dominant in that game. They didn't carve out too many clear-cut chances, but you sort of know that you're going to wear a team down under those circumstances. It looked like, Saka looked more like back to his best, I thought. I always think he's pretty consistent anyway, but he's such a lovely footballer.
Yeah, he is brilliant. Like you said, I think they was in control. There was that panic at the end. But it was really nice to see Smith Rowe back as well within the starting 11, because before he got his injuries, he was a key part of what they was trying to do. Obviously, a lot of people might have wanted to see him a little bit further forward, but in that midfield role, I thought he had a quite convincing game. Obviously, still got things to work on and to know the new system, but I think that was a great positive as well. Saliba thought played well. Gabriel thought played well. And I just think they're missing that clinical edge still in front of goal. So Jesus scored an amazing finish, but he had a couple of opportunities before that. And that could be the difference between potentially challenging and then their season just petering out.
It does give you something else, though, doesn't it, Jesus? He will score goals, but he's I don't think he's ever going to be truly prolific, and his record suggests that. But in other aspects of the game, and he's quite creative, and he's got an unbelievable energy, hasn't he? And he helps that high press, particularly. I think he's excellent at that. He's got that remarkable record, hasn't he? Now that whenever he's scored, whether it's for Manchester City or Arsenal, they've not lost a game. I think it's about 60 times now, which is quite extraordinary. I think Ian Rush had something like that at Liverpool for years and years and years, that whenever he scored, they didn't lose a football match. I don't think he's quite as prolific as Mr. Rush, but he does give you something. But I agree with you that they need someone, don't they, that's going to give them 20, 25 goals
I think when we talk about Jesus, it's not a disrespectful thing. It's just a numbers in terms of the chances created and how much he's converting. There's times where, like you said, he does all the hard work, all the link-up play, good technically. But just if he had someone alongside him just to finish off them chances, they just need that additional striker, I think.
I mean, it's a long time since we had a three-pronged title race, and I'm not necessarily ruling out Spurs or Villa, but I think realistically, those three could go hammer and tongs to the end of the season. Not
that it's on one result, but I think after the weekend, we'll know a lot more whether Arsenal are going to be in the title race. Because I think if Liverpool do them at the weekend,
that's a big game, particularly for Arsenal.
Massive game for them, yeah. On the other hand, if they beat Liverpool, they're right in it.
A couple of the best performances I think that we've seen in this midweek came from two young Crystal Palace stars, Eze and Olise. I mean, fabulously talented. I had lunch actually last week with Steve Parish, the chairman at Crystal Palace, and he was extolling the virtues of Michael Olise and saying that he thinks he's going to be a very, very special talent, and I wouldn't disagree with him. And Eze yesterday, it was his goals and he's brilliant. And the weird thing is they've hardly played together. I know they got a bit of stick from the Palace fans, the club possibly about the future and whether it was Roy Hodgson or not, but it's been difficult for them because I think they've only played together a few times this season.
Started 4 times and been on the pitch together 7, I think. So I think that's obviously going to be key, isn't it? I think if they can get those two out there and doing what they did the other night, then they'll be more than all right, Crystal Palace. But that's been the difficult thing for them, hasn't it?
I mean, both are amazing talents. Eze's been in the England squad already. Michael Olise's played for the French under-21s. His younger brother, I believe, has played for England at youth level. So it's one of those that I think until you play in the first French first team, which it won't be easy, it'd be interesting to see whether Gareth tries to pinch him from the French because he's got some talent,
He's gonna be world class. It's just one of them young players who need to be guided in the right way. If he was ever to leave, or when he leaves Palace, no disrespect to Palace fans, they probably want that money at some stage to sort of rebuild anyway. But when he leaves there, if he picks the right team where he's allowed to express himself, he's going to be a superstar. He's that good. I remember watching him up at the Etihad a couple of seasons ago, and he was it's just his dribbling. It's his decision making, when to lay off the ball, and his first touch is sublime. He's going to the very top. He is.
Olise's of Nigerian descent, and actually interesting on the games on Tuesday night, there were 6 players that did particularly well, all of Nigerian descent. Eze got 2 goals, Olise a goal and 2 assists, Bukayo Saka scored, Awonyi got a goal, Elijah Adebayo, of course, with that hat-trick, and Ogbene got a goal as well. So Nigeria kind of took over the Premier League tonight, and they're going pretty well in the Africa Cup of Nations. I think they're making a real fist of things, aren't they?
Well, Adebayo, what a story. I mean, to get his first ever Premier League hat-trick after where he's been, where he's played. I mean, what a feeling for him. Fantastic, eh?
I'll just tell you now that Micah's holding his phone up and he's got Adebayo and Olise, and I presume that's in your fantasy football team, is it, Micah? Am I right?
Hey, what do I know, eh? What do I know?
I'm thrilled for you, Micah. Honestly, that's probably the pinnacle of your footballing career, is it? A line on you on Adebayo, Alan, scoring that hat-trick. Magical moment for him and the club.
Fantastic for him. I bet he never slept that night with excitement, and I mean, the tough thing is now they come up to Newcastle now, so he'll be full of confidence. They play Newcastle on Saturday, so what a feeling for him. Brilliant for Luton and for Rob Edwards, the job he's doing, and then they'll have real belief now that they can stay in the Premier League. And he said it himself, didn't he? That at least these players are now believing that they perhaps belong at this level and compete at this level. So that result the other night will do wonders for them.
I'll tell you, it's been good. Really good signing for them. He's a player that we've always seen that's had bags of potential, but he's been terrifically consistent this season for Luton. That's Ross Barkley. He's been around a bit, different clubs, different places. It's not quite happened with him, but you've always seen that ability, but he seems to be realising it at Luton, Micah.
Yeah, I think the good thing about Ross Barkley is he's matured. And we've seen him in offensive positions, sometimes on the left, sometimes on the right, sometimes as number 10. But in Luton's side, he plays a little bit deeper and sort of dictates the tempo of the game. He still takes risks because all good players do, but he seems like he's really got somewhere where he's settled and he's took the responsibility of being one of the senior pros, and it's just great to watch. He seems to be involved in absolutely everything good that they do, and long may it continue, because he's had a couple of rough years where he's sort of, people say he's not as good as everyone thought he was, so he's showing us everyone exactly what he can do now.
Do you think Luton can stay up now, Alan? I mean, they've had a really good patch, haven't they? I mean, obviously you've got Everton's situation with the points deduction and another possible points deduction. Nottingham Forest a little bit in the mire as well in terms of possible punishments. They've certainly given themselves a chance, and it's funny, at the start of the season, of the three that got promoted, I think you'd have been surprised to see that Luton quite comfortably clear of both Burnley and Sheffield United.
Shows the job that Rob's doing, doesn't it? There, he's always had the belief, but that's one thing, and then it's another thing getting these players to go out and believe what he's believing. So, and he's getting them to do it. So you've got to admire them from giving themselves a brilliant opportunity of actually staying in the Premier League.
And also the way Rob Edwards and the club handled the whole Tom Lockyer situation. They've almost used it to kind of galvanise him. It was great to see him on the pitch last night. He was walking around applauding the fans before the game, and no doubt they were applauding him as well. Lovely moment, Micah.
Brilliant scenes, yeah. Obviously, do you remember the playoff final as well, where he went down, and then to have it again this season, horrible scenes to see, but to see him back up and well, and obviously he was very emotional at the game from the pictures I saw. It's just glad that he's doing okay, and long may it continue. Absolutely.
A lovely way to finish this particular episode. Once again, thanks for all your lovely comments that keep coming in. Really means a lot. We do appreciate it, and we're just happy you seem to be enjoying it. We certainly are. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from Big Meeks.
Goodbye from me. Have a good weekend.